Rurouni Kenshin, Meiji Swordsman Romantic Story, also known as Rurouni Kenshin and Samurai X, is a Japanese manga series written and illustrated by Nobuhiro Watsuki. The story takes place during the early Meiji period in Japan and follows a former assassin from the Bakumatsu, named Himura Kenshin, who becomes a wanderer to protect the people of Japan. Watsuki wrote this series upon his desire of making a shonen manga different from the other ones that were published at the time, with Kenshin being a former assassin and the story taking a more serious tone as it continued. The manga revolves around themes of atonement, peace, and romance. The manga initially appeared in Shueisha's weekly Shonen Jump from April 11, 1994, to November 4, 1999. The complete work consists of 28 tankōbon volumes, while years later it was reprinted into 22 kanzenban volumes. Studio Gallop, Studio Deen and SPE Visual Works adapted the manga into an anime series which aired in Japan from January 10, 1996 to September 8, 1998. Besides an animated feature film, 2 series of original video animations were also produced. The first adapted stories from the manga that were not featured in the anime, while the second was a sequel to the manga. Several art and guidebooks for Rurouni Kenshin have been published and writer Kaoru Shizuka has authored 3 official light novels which were published by Shueisha. Many video games have also been released for the PlayStation, PlayStation 2, and PlayStation Portable consoles. A successful live-action theatrical film adaptation was released in 2012, with limited international screenings. The manga, as well as the first light novel and first guidebook, has received a complete North American release by Viz Media. Rurouni Kenshin is subtitled Wandering Samurai in some English releases. The TV series was later licensed in North America and released on DVD by Media Blasters. The first 2 seasons aired on the United States Cartoon Network as part of the Toonami block, while the 3rd season was only featured on DVD. The English-language versions of the OVAs, as well as the film, were originally released as Samurai X in North America, although the original name was included on the later DVD and Blu-ray disc releases. The Rurouni Kenshin manga has sold over 55 million copies in Japan as of 2012, while its anime has ranked among the 100 most watched series in Japan multiple times. The series has received praise and criticism from various publications for manga, anime and other media, with both having received good response on the characters' designs and historical setting. Plot. In the early Meiji era, after participating in the Bakumatsu War as the assassin Hitokiri Bakusai, Himura Kenshin wanders the countryside of Japan offering protection and aid to those in need as atonement for the murders he once committed. When arriving in Tokyo in the 11th year of Meiji, he meets a young woman named Kaoru, who is in the middle of a fight with a murderer, who claims to be the Hitokiri Bakusai, tarnishing the name of the swordsmanship school that she teaches. Kenshin decides to help her and defeats the fake Bakusai. After discovering that Kenshin is the real infamous assassin, Kaoru offers him a place to stay at her dojo, noting that he is peace-loving and not cold-hearted, as his reputation implies. Kenshin accepts and begins to establish lifelong relationships with many people such as Sagras Nosuke, a former Seeker army member. Miyajin Hiko, an orphan from a samurai family. And a doctor named Takani Megumi, caught in the opium trade. However, he also deals with his fair share of enemies, new and old, including the former leader of the Oniwabansha, Shinomori Aoshi, and a rival from the Bakumatsu, Satohaime. After several months of living in the dojo, Kenshin discovers that his successor as Assassin of the Shadows, Shishio Makoto, plans to conquer Japan by destroying the Meiji government, starting with Kyoto. Feeling that his friends may be attacked by Shishio's faction, Kenshin goes to meet Shishio alone in order to defeat him. However, many of his friends, including a young Oniwabansha named Makumachi Misho, decide to help him in his fight. After his first meeting with him, Kenshin realizes he needs to get stronger to defeat Shishio without becoming the cold assassin he was in the past, and returns to the man who taught him Kenjutsu, Heiko Sujara, in order to learn the school's final technique. he finally accepts his friend's help and defeats Shishio in a close fight. Shishio dies being engulfed in flames due to the rise in his body temperature caused by his severe burns. When Kenshin and his friends return to Tokyo, he finds Yukishiro Onishi, who plans to take revenge by killing his friends. At this point it is revealed that, during the Bakumatsu, Kenshin had been married to a woman named Yukishiro Tomo. She had initially wanted to avenge the death of her fiancé copyright whom Kenshin had killed, but instead they both fell in love and got married. It is then discovered that Tomo was part of a group of assassins that wanted to kill Kenshin, and Tomo is betrayed by them and captured to use as bait. Kenshin rushes to rescue her, killing both his assailant and accidentally Tomo, who jumps in at the last minute to save Kenshin from a fatal attack. Wanting to take revenge for the death of his sister, Onishi kidnaps Kaoru and leaves behind a tortured figure bearing a stunning resemblance of Kaoru for Kenshin to find and momentarily grieve over. Once discovering that Kaoru is alive, Kenshin and his friends set out to rescue her. A battle between Kenshin and Onishi follows, and when Kenshin wins, he and Kaoru return home. 5 years later, Kenshin is married to Kaoru and has a son named Himura Kenshin. Production: a prototype series titled Rurouni, Meiji Swordsman Romantic Story first appeared as a pair of separate short stories published in 1992 and 1993 in the Manga magazine weekly Shōnen Jump special. The first story featured an earlier version of Kenshin stopping a crime lord from taking over the Kamiya family dojo. Watsuki described the first Rurouni story, echoing the Megumi arcade, as a pilot for Rurouni Kenshin. According to Watsuki, the final Rurouni Kenshin series was not composed entirely from his free will. Describing the creation of historical stories as hard, Watsuki initially wanted to make his next series in a contemporary setting. An editor approached Watsuki and asked him to make a new historical story. With the historic concept, Watsuki intended to use the Bakumatsu time period from Myoken with a story akin to Shugeta Sanshiro. Watsuki experimented with various titles, including Nisshin Kenshin, Yorazuya Kenshin, and variations of Rurouni, and Kenshin with different kanji in that order. The second Rurouni story, released 1/2 of a year after the first story, features Kenshin helping a wealthy girl named Reikaji Chizuru. Watsuki recalled experiencing difficulty when condensing everything into 31 pages for the first romantic swordsman story. He said that he put all my soul into it, but sighs when looking at the story from his perspective after the publication of the Rurouni Kenshin Volume 1 graphic novel in Japan. Watsuki describes the first Rurouni, Meiji Swordsman Romantic Story as receiving mediocre reviews and about 200 letters. Watsuki described the second Rurouni as a side story. During his childhood, Watsuki used to practice kendo, which influenced him in the making from the series. Although, Watsuki developed various one-shots prior to the official serialization from the series, he mentioned he based the series from Crescent Moon in the Warring States, a story which introduced Kenshin's fighting style and his teacher. While naming the characters, he based some of their names from places he used to live, such as Makamachi Mishore's Makamachi, and Sanjutsubaim, who are named after places from Niigata. Being fascinated by the Shinsengumi, Watsuki designed the characters by basing their characteristics to that of the real Shinsengumi members, and also used fictional representation of them and other historical characters from the Bakumatsu period of Japan. The historical characters were considered to be a hard task by Watsuki. Due to problems with the characterization from Sagurazawa, Watsuki decided to illustrate Seita Harame in his own style, avoiding the historical figure. He felt very good with Seita's character, having noted he fit very well in the manga. However, Watsuki mentioned that many Japanese fans of the Shinsengumi complained about the personality of Seita, as he was made sadistic. When questioned about the series' theme being Kenshin's self-redemption, Watsuki mentioned that when he was young he used to read shoujo and that it influenced his writing of Rurouni Kenshin. He added that he wanted to make a story different from other comics, as he considers the main character Kenshin is neither a good nor evil character. Since Volume 7, Watsuki mentioned the series took a more adult tone due to the various conflicts in the story, but commented it was influenced by the shoujo manga he read. Through the series development, Watsuki was deciding if Kamikanuru's character was going to die prior to the end. However, he later decided to keep Kanuru alive as he came to the conclusion he wanted a happy ending and that the manga is aimed at young readers. Watsuki said he was an infatuated type of person rather than a passionate kind of person, so therefore Rurouni Kenshin is a Meiji swordsman story as opposed to being a Meiji love story. When the manga series started to be published in Weekly Shōnen Jump, Watsuki had little hope in the development of the series. He planned to finish the story in approximately 30 chapters, ending with Kenshin's departure from Tokyo in a similar manner to the one from Volume 7. Kenshin's enemies would have been people from Kyoto who would send an assassin to kill Kenshin. When the Oni Wabensha were introduced during the serialization, Watsuki noted that the series could be longer as he had created various main characters. In that time, there was a survey, and the series had become very popular. When the series reached 7 volumes, Watsuki's boss suggested him that it was time to make a longer story arc, which resulted in the creation of the fights between Kenshin and Shishio Makoto. The arc was only meant to be serialized for 1 year, but it ended up being 1 year and a half long. This arc was also done to develop Kenshin's character as he considered him not to have a weak point. Watsuki commented that his artistic skills were honed with this arc, as he could draw everything he wanted to. The last arc from the manga was meant to be much shorter, but it turned out to be a fairly long one as he could not present it in a simplistic manner. This arc was originally made by Watsuki prior to the series start, having already thought about how would Kenshin's scar had been made. Watsuki also planned to create a Hokkaido arc and a sequel, but felt it would be better to start with another manga and so ended the series with the last arc he made. Anime production. In a manga volume prior to the release of the anime, Watsuki said that while some fans might object to the adaptation of the series into anime, Watsuki looked forward to the adaptation and felt it would work since the manga was already anime-esque. He had some worries about the series since the creation of the series was sudden and the series had a tight production schedule. In another note in the same volume, Watsuki added that he had little input in the series, as he was too busy with the publishing. In addition, his schedule did not match the schedule of the anime production staff. Watsuki said that it would be impossible to make the anime and manga exactly the same, so he would feel fine with the anime adaptation as long as it took advantage of the strengths of an anime format. After the anime began production, Watsuki said that the final product was better than imagined, and that it was created with the pride and soul of professionals. Watsuki criticized the timing, the off-the-wall, embarrassing subtitles, and the condensing of the stories. For instance, he felt the Jinny storyline would not sufficiently fit 2 episodes. Watsuki said that he consulted a director and that he felt the anime would improve after that point. The fact that the CD book voice actors, especially Megumi Ogata and Tomokazu Seki, who portrayed Kenshin and Sanosuke in the CD books, respectively, did not get their corresponding roles in the anime disappointed Watsuki. Watsuki reported receiving some letters of protest against the voice actor change and letters requesting that Ogata portray Sita Zajira. Watsuki said that he wanted Ogata to play Misho and that Ogata would likely find stubborn girl roles more challenging than the pretty boy roles she usually gets, though Watsuki felt Ogata would have no problem portraying a stubborn girl. Watsuki said that the new voice actor arrangement works out, and that he hoped that the CD book voice actors would find roles in the anime. Watsuki said that the reason why the CD book voice actors did not get the corresponding roles in the anime was due to the fact that many more companies were involved in the production of the anime than the production of the CD books, and therefore the industry power structure affected the series. The second season of the anime TV series had some original stories not in the manga. Watsuki said that some people disliked TV originals, but to him the concept was exciting. Watsuki said that because the first half of the original storyline that existed by the time of the production of Volume 10 in Japan was jammed into the first season, he looked forward to a more entertaining second season. Watsuki added that it was obvious that the staff of the first season put their hearts and souls into the work, but that the second series will be a much better stage for their talents. Media, manga. Written and drawn by Nobuhiro Watsuki, The first chapter of Rurouni Kenshin premiered in Weekly Shōnen Jump in 1994 and was serialized in the magazine until 1999. The 255 individual chapters were collected and published in 28 tankōbon volumes by Shueisha, with the first volume released on September 9, 1994 and the last on November 4, 1999. In July 2006, Shueisha began re-releasing the series in a 22 kanzenban special edition volumes. A single chapter follow-up to the series that follows the character of Yuiko Myojin, Yuiko no Sakubata, was originally published in Weekly Shōnen Jump after the conclusion of the series. Left out of the original volumes, it was added as an extra to the final kanzenban release. In December 2011, Shueisha announced Watsuki would be putting his current series, Embalming the Another Tale of Frankenstein, on hold to begin a reboot of Rurouni Kenshin, called Rurouni Kenshin Cinema Ban, as a tie-in to the live-action movie. The series began in the June 2012 issue of Jump Square, which was released on May 2, 2012, and ended in the July 2013 issue on June 4, 2013. The reboot depicts the battles that are featured in the live-action film. Shueisha released the first tankōbon volume in Japan on September 4, 2012, and the second on July 4, 2013. Another special titled Rurouni Kenshin Chapter 0, was published in Weekly Shōnen Jump in August 2012. In 2014, Watsuki wrote a two-chapter spin-off titled Controlling Flame Rurouni Kenshin, Hidden Chapter for Jump Square, which tells how Shishio met Yumi and formed the Jappongatana. Rurouni Kenshin was licensed for an English-language release in North America by Viz Media. The first volume of the series was released on October 7, 2003. Although the first volumes were published on an irregular basis, since Volume 7 Viz established a monthly basis due to good sales and consumer demands. Therefore, the following volumes were published until July 5, 2006, when the final volume was released. Yuiko no Sakubata was also serialized in English Shōnen Jump during 2006. In January 2008, Viz began re-releasing the manga in a wideband format called Viz Big Edition, which is a collection of 3 volumes in one. The final volume included the Yuiko no Sakubata and Haru no Sakura chapters, which take place after the series. Viz uses the actual ordering of Japanese names, with the family name or surname before the given name, within the series to reduce confusion and because Rurouni Kenshin is a historical series. On May 7, 2012, it was announced in Viz Media's digital manga magazine Weekly Shōnen Jump Alpha that Rurouni Kenshin Cinema Ban would join its lineup, being retitled Rurouni Kenshin, Restoration and published monthly starting on May 21. Viz Media released the first volume on June 4, 2013. And the second was published on January 14, 2014. Viz will also publish Controlling Flame Rurouni Kenshin, Hidden Chapter in the digital magazine in 2014. Anime series. The anime, directed by Kazuhiro Furuhashi, began airing on Japan's Fuji TV on January 10, 1996 and ended on September 8, 1998. It was produced by Aniplex and Fuji TV, and was animated from episode 1 to 66 by Studio Gallop, whereas the episodes from 67 onwards were animated by Studio Deen. The anime only adapts the manga up until the fight with Shishio, from then on it features original material not in the manga. The final episode did not air in Japan, but was a bonus episode for the VHS and DVD releases. Since its premiere in Japan, episodes from the series have been collected in DVDs various times, 2 DVD series with both of them featuring 4 episodes per volume and 3 DVD boxes. In 1999 Sony tried and failed to market the series in the United States as Samurai X via an existing company. The TV series was later licensed in North America by Media Blasters, who split it up into seasons, and released on DVD. It started airing in the US on the Cartoon Network as a part of the Toonami block on March 17, 2003, but ended at the completion of the second season. Some of the show's depictions of obscene language, intense violence, and tobacco usage were subject to heavy editing on Toonami. Episodes 63 to 95 did not air, but were included in the DVD release. The seasons were later released in 3 premium bento box DVD boxes on November 18, 2003, March 30, 2004 and July 27, 2004. They were released again, but in new packaging as economy box sets on November 15, 2005, January 17, 2006 and February 14, 2006. Sony Pictures Television International created an English-language version of the series, titled Samurai X, that airs outside of the United States. Animated films, Requiem for the Ishin Patriots. The series also has a movie called Rurouni Kenshin, the motion picture, known in Japan as Ishin Shishi no Chinkoinka and originally released in North America as Samurai X, the motion picture, which tells a story where Kenshin meets a samurai who was very close to a man Batasai murdered in the war. The samurai is trying to start a revolution to overthrow the Meiji government. The film was directed by Hatsuki Tsuji and it premiered in Japan on December 20, 1997. The Japanese DVD was released on August 21, 1998. It has been republished twice in 2000 and 2002, adding new content to the DVD. It was also released on December 7, 2005 on Universal Media Disc format. In North America, the film was released on DVD on March 27, 2001. The film was released on Blu-ray disc in North America on October 26, 2011 by Aniplex of America. The opening theme is Nji by L'Arc-en-Ciel while the ending theme is Eternal Future by Unimetal. The story in the film does not appear in the original manga. New Kyoto Arcade, a new Rurouni Kenshin project was announced in April 2011's Jump Square. Director Kazuhiro Furuhashi, Studio Deen, and the original cast will be returning after 9 years. The project was split into 2 parts and is a remake of the second arc, the Kyoto arc, with some changes. Part 1 titled Rurouni Kenshin, New Kyoto Arcade, The Cage of Flames, which was selected from a fan suggestion, ran at Tokyo's Cinema's Sunshine Ikebukuro Theatre and Osaka's Scene Libre Umeda Theatre for 1 week only. Part 2, Rurouni Kenshin, New Kyoto Arcade, The Chirps of Light, was released on June 23, 2012 and ran for 3 weeks in 10 theaters. Aniplex of America announced at Otake in 2011 that they were in negotiations for the English-language rights to the films. Aniplex released Part 1 on DVD and Blu-ray on March 21, 2012 in Japan, while Part 2 was released on August 22, 2012. In 2013, North American licensor Sentai Filmworks released both films together on DVD and Blu-ray, labeling them as OVAs. Original video animations. There are also 2 Rurouni Kenshin original video animation series. The first of them, Rurouni Kenshin, Trust and Betrayal, collectively known in Japan as Zuiokuen, was released in 1999 as 4 episodes in Japan, and later edited into a 2-hour theatrical film with some new animated sequences. It is set during the downfall of the Tokugawa shogunate and during Kenshin's job as an assassin. ADV Films released the series on 2 VHS or DVD sets in 2000 under their Samurai X name in North America, and the film version in 2003. Aniplex of America released it on Blu-ray in 2011 in North America. The second OVA is Rurouni Kenshin, Reflection, known in Japan as Seiza-hen. It is composed of 2 episodes and was later edited into a theatrical film. The first episode was originally released on December 12, 2001 in Japan and the second on March 20, 2002. It is set both during and after the timeline of the series and tells of Kenshin and Kaoru's later days, much of which is not derived from the manga. Although Nobuhiro Watsuki had checked the script from the OVA, he gave it disapproval due to its sad ending, and he stated that it is not canon and should not be treated as canonical. It was released in the United States by ADV Films on DVD on March 25, 2003 under their Samurai X name, while the movie edition was released the following year. Aniplex of America released it on Blu-ray in 2011 in North America. Live-action films. On June 28, 2011, a live-action film adaptation of Rurouni Kenshin was announced. Produced by Warner Bros., with actual film production done by Studio Swan. The film was directed by Keiichiro Itomo and stars Takeru Sato as Kenshin, Munetaka Naoki as Sanosuke Sagara and Emi Takei as Kaoru. The film was released on August 25, 2012 in Japan, and had several international screenings. Additionally, the staff disclosed that they had intentions to make sequels. In August 2013, it was announced that 2 sequels were being filmed simultaneously for release in 2014. The Great Kyoto Fire and the End of a Legend will adapt the Kyoto arc of the manga. Soundtracks. All of the series' music was composed by Noriyuki Asakura and several CDs have been released by Sony Records. The first, Rurouni Kenshin OST1 was released on April 1, 1996 and contained 23 songs that were used during the first episodes of the series. The second one, Rurouni Kenshin OST2, Departure was released on October 21, 1996 and contained 15 tracks that were first used before the start of the Kyoto arcade. The next one, Rurouni Kenshin OST3, Journey to Kyoto was released on April 21, 1997 and contained the 13 tracks that originally used in the Kyoto arcade. For the next arc, Rurouni Kenshin OST4, Let It Burn was released on February 1, 1998 and contained 12 tracks. For the OVAs series, all themes were composed by Takuya Saki and the CDs were released by Sony Visual Works. The first, Rurouni Kenshin's Yuio Kohen OST was released on March 20, 1999 and contained 16 tracks that were used in Samurai X, Trust and Betrayal. For the Reflection OVA, a soundtrack called Rurouni Kenshin Saizohen OST was released on January 23, 2002 and contained 18 tracks. Several compilations of the anime songs were also released in collection CDs. 30 tracks were selected and joined in a CD called Rurouni Kenshin, the Director's Collection, that was released on July 21, 1997. Rurouni Kenshin Best Theme Collection was released on March 21, 1998 and contained 10 tracks. All of the opening and ending themes were also collected in a CD called Rurouni Kenshin OPED Theme Collection. The Japanese voice actors of the series also composed songs that were released as 2 CDs Rurouni Kenshin Songs album. All of the anime tracks, including OVAs and films tracks, were collected in Rurouni Kenshin Complete CD box that was released on September 19, 2002. It contains the 4 TV OSTs, the 2 OVA OSTs, the movie OST, the 2 game OSTs, an opening and closing theme collection, and the 2 character songs albums. On July 27, 2011, Rurouni Kenshin Complete Collection, which includes all the opening and ending themes and the theme song of the animated film, was released. Several drama CDs, which adapted stories in the Rurouni Kenshin manga, were also released in Japan. Each of them featured different voice actors from that one that worked in the anime adaptation. In Volume 5 of the manga, Watsuki stated that he anticipated that the script of the third volume, which has the stories involving the character Uda Jin-e, would be pretty close, but would have additional lines belonging to Sanosuke and Yuiko. Art and guidebooks, 2 encyclopedias of the Rurouni Kenshin manga were released in Japan. The first one, Rurouni Kenshin Profiles, was released first in Japan on July 4, 1996 by Shueisha and in the United States by Viz Media on November 1, 2005. Kenshin Kaiden, released on December 15, 1999, includes the story Haru no Sakura, which details the fates of all of the Rurouni Kenshin characters. The story takes place years after the manga's conclusion, when Kenshin and Kaoru have married and have a young son, Kenji. Many of the series' major characters who have befriended Kenshin reunite or otherwise reveal their current whereabouts with him in a spring picnic. For the anime, 3 Kenshin Sashi artbook were published from 1997 to 1998. While the first 2 were based on the TV series, the third one was based on the film. The film one was named Ishin Shishi no Requiem art book and was released along with the movie. Also released was Rurōni art book, which contained images from the OVAs. A guidebook from the Kanzenban imprint of the series was published on June 4, 2007. Light novels, The Rurouni Kenshin light novels were originally from Shueisha's Jump J books. They were co-written by Kaoru Shizuka. Most of them are original stories which were later adapted in the anime. Others are adaptations of manga and anime stories. The first novel, Rurouni Kenshin, Voyage to the Moon World, was published in Japan on October 10, 1996 and in North America on October 17, 2006. The second, Yehiko's Battle, was released on October 3, 1997. It retells various stories featured in the manga and anime series. The last novel is TV anime Shimabara Arcade, which was published on February 4, 1999. Video games. There are 2 Rurouni Kenshin games released for the PlayStation console. Neither game has made it out of Japan. The first, Rurouni Kenshin, Meiji Kenkaku Romantan, Ishinga Kitahen, was released on November 29, 1996. It was developed by Zoom Incorporated. The game is a 3D fighter game with 5 playable characters, while the plot focuses in the first 7 volumes from the manga. The second one, Rurouni Kenshin, Meiji Kenkaku Romantan, Jayashin Bahen, was released on December 18, 1997 and was re-released in the PlayStation The Best Lineup on November 5, 1998. The game is a role-playing video game with a story unrelated to either the manga or anime. Rurouni Kenshin, Meiji Kenkaku Romantan, Enja. Kyatarin is the only video game for the PlayStation 2 console. Its Japanese release was slated at September 13, 2006. The game has sold over 130,000 copies in Japan. A 2D fighting game titled Rurouni Kenshin, Meiji Kenkaku Romantan Season was released for the PlayStation Portable on March 10, 2011 in Japan. Himura Kenshin also appeared in the 2005 and 2006 Nintendo DS games Jump Superstars and Jump Ultimate Stars as a battle character, while others were support characters and help characters. Kenshin and Shishio appear as playable characters in the 2014 PlayStation 3 and PlayStation Vita game J-Stars Victory vs. In 2012, 2 more video games have been released, Rurouni Kenshin Season and Rurouni Kenshin Kanzenban. Merchandise. Watsuki commented that there was a lot of Rurouni Kenshin merchandise released for the Japanese market. He recommended that buyers consider quality before paying for merchandise items and for them to consult their wallets and buy stuff that they feel is worth it. Watsuki added that he liked the prototype for a stuffed Kenshin doll for the UFO catcher devices. Reception. Manga. Rurouni Kenshin has been highly popular, having sold over 55 million copies in Japan alone as of February 2012, making it one of Shueisha's best-selling manga series. Volume 27 of the manga ranked second in the Visbowokscan Top 10 during June 2006, while Volume 21 and 20 ranked second and 10th, respectively, in the Top 10 graphic novels of Viz of 2005. Rurouni Kenshin Volume 24 also ranked in 116th position in the USA Today's best-selling book list for the week ending February 26, 2006. During the third quarter from 2003, Rurouni Kenshin ranked at the top of ICV2's top 50 manga properties. In the same poll from 2005, it was featured at the top once again based on sales from English volumes during 2004. In the top 10 manga properties from 2006 from the same site, it ranked 9th. The manga has received praise and criticism from various publications. Mania Entertainment writer Megan Levy found that the manga had a good balance between character development, comedy and action scenes. The artwork of Watsuki was said to have improved as the series continued, noting that characters also had reactions during fights. Zach Bicci from Anime News Network praised the story from the manga, but noted that by volume 18 of the series, Watsuki started to repeat the same type of villains who were united to kill Kenshin. Although she praised Watsuki's characters, she commented that some of them needed some consistency due to various bizarre antagonists. IGN reviewer A. Sparrow liked the manga's ending, praising how the storylines are resolved, and how most of the supporting cast end up. He also praised the series' characters, remarking that Kenshin belongs in any top 10 of manga heroes. Otaku USA reviewer Daryl Surratt said that the manga's quality was good until the Revenge Arcade, where he criticized the storyline and the new characters. Surratt described the series as an example of a neo-shounen series, where a shounen series also appeals to a female audience. Surratt stated that, in such series character designs are pretty for female audiences, but not too girly for male audiences. Surratt cited Shinomori Aoshi and Seta Zajira, characters who ranked highly in popularity polls even though, in Surratt's view, Aoshi does not engage in meaningful battles and Zajira is a kid. Surratt explained that Aoshi appears like a camp character wearing Gambit's coat and Zajira always smiles despite the abuse inflicted upon him. Surratt said that the character designs for the anime television series were toughened up a bit. He added that the budget for animation and music was top-notch, because Sony produced the budget. Anime, when TV Asahi, a television network in Japan, conducted a nationwide survey for the 100 most popular animated television series, the Rurouni Kenshin anime came in 66th place. They also conducted an online web poll, in which Rurouni Kenshin was placed at number 62. Nearly a year later, TV Asahi once again conducted an online poll for the top 100 anime, and Rurouni Kenshin anime advanced in rank and came in 26th place. It also ranked at 10th place in the web's Most Wanted 2005, ranking in the animation category. The fourth DVD of the anime was also Anime Castle's best-selling DVD in October 2001. Rurouni Kenshin was also a finalist in the American Anime Awards in the category Long Series, but lost against Fullmetal Alchemist. The anime has also been commented on by Chris Shepard from ANN, noting a well-crafted plot and good action scenes. However, he also criticized that during the first episodes the fights never get quite interesting as it becomes a bit predictable that Kenshin is going to win as the music of moments of victory is repeated many times. However, Mark A. Gray from the same site mentioned that all those negative points disappear during the Kyoto arcade due to amazing fights and a great soundtrack. Tasha Robinson from sci-fi.com had a similar opinion on the anime, and added that the characters' personalities allowed the plot to develop into a good variety of interesting stories. She also liked the historical setting as it makes all the situations seem authentic. Although the anime's Carlos Ross also liked the action scenes and storyline, he added that the number of childish and violent scenes make the show a bit unbalanced, saying it is not recommended for younger children. Surratt approved of the anime series, stating that while half of the first season episodes consisted of filler, the situation clicks upon the introduction of Seta Haraiman that he disagreed with people who disliked the television series compared to the OVAs. Surratt said that while the Media Blasters anime dub is well cast, the English dub does not sound natural since the producers were too preoccupied with making the voice performances mimic the Japanese performances. Surratt said that while he didn't mind the first filler arc with the Christianity sect, he could not stomach the final two filler arcs, and Japanese audiences disapproved of the final two filler arcs. OVAs and films. Rurouni Kenshin, Trust and Betrayal has received significant praise for its story, animation, art, music and Japanese voice acting from various critics. Mike Crandall from ANN noted Trust and Betrayal as one of the greatest OVA series of all time, celebrating the new characters' designs as well as the fight scenes, which were also noted to be terribly bloody and beautiful at the same time. Although DVD Talk reviewer Don Houston mentioned the OVAs were very violent for teenagers, he found the story and music to be solid. The director's cut version received positive comments by how the four OVAs were arranged, with Houston commenting it seems more like a movie that stands alone, rather than just the precursor to a long-lasting series. Rurouni Kenshin, Reflection received mixed reviews. While Nobuhiro Watsuki had checked the script from the OVA, he gave it disapproval due to its sad ending. Crandall also later commented that fans from the manga may be disappointed when seeing Rurouni Kenshin, Reflection, since most of the fighting scenes have been deleted in the OVA. Nevertheless, the music and animation featured in the Reflection were highly praised again as one of the best ones from Japan. Rurouni Kenshin, New Kyoto Arcade received mixed reviews as well. The Nihon Review criticized the storytelling as far too condensed, several climatic settings and face-offs are removed, and even the larger-than-life, brutal battles are reduced to tame fights with premature conclusions. References. External links. Official Shueisha Rurouni Kenshin manga website, official Sony Rurouni Kenshin anime website, official Warner Bros. Rurouni Kenshin film website, Rurouni Kenshin at Viz Media, Rurouni Kenshin at Anime News Network's Encyclopedia, Rurouni Kenshin at Anime News Network's Encyclopedia, SPTI's Anime and Animation Brochure, Samurai X.